Pull up a chair, grab a pint, or a cup of tea if you're feeling proper. Because today, we're heading to the mean streets of Montreal, where cannoli met chaos and the mafia went full Shakespearean bloodbath in the 1970s. Once upon a time, in the charmingly corrupt city of Montreal, known for jazz, bagels, and apparently savage mafia wars, there lived two big Italian families. One Calabrian, one Sicilian. Both loud, both spicy, and both absolutely not into sharing the pasta pot of illegal profits. It was like The Godfather, with more snow, worse French accents, and significantly more people exploding. This wasn't some petty gangster tiff over who got to sell bootleg cigarettes behind a deli. No, this was the Montreal Mob War, and it turned Canada's most European city into the Sopranos if they filmed it in Quebec. In one corner, Niccolo Cotroni, the OG of the Montreal mob scene, Calabrian, old school, ran things like a Nonna runs a kitchen, tight and unforgiving, had fingers in everything from gambling and drugs to politics. Some say he could fix an election faster than you could say rigatoni. In the other, Niccolo Rizzuto, of Sicilian descent, flashy moustache, sharper than a Parmesan grater, and his son, Vito Rizzuto, the future Don with ice in his veins. They didn't want a seat at the Cotroni table, they wanted the whole bloody restaurant. So yeah, cue tension, betrayal, and several unplanned funerals. The 1970s were already a tense time. Disco, economic downturns, Trudeau Sr. flexing in Quebec, and then bam. One mob hit too many, and the sauce hit the ceiling. The Rizzutos thought Cotroni was getting soft. Cotroni thought the Rizzutos were getting cocky, and suddenly, mobsters started dropping like olives at a Greek wedding. Cars were exploding, nightclubs were getting shot up. Someone even tried to blow up a pasta factory, which should be a war crime under Italian law. You see, Montreal wasn't just some Canadian outpost. It was a key node for drug trafficking routes between Europe and North America. Whoever controlled Montreal didn't just run the city. They had a seat at the international mobster buffet. Here's a wild nugget. The FBI and RCMP actually suspected the Cotroni family had influence over parts of the Liberal Party of Quebec. That's right, literal mobsters with political connections. So if your mayor suddenly had a suspicious love of red sauce and gold pinky rings, now you know why. As the Rizzutos pushed their way in, the Cotronis fought back. But they were getting old, fractured, and frankly losing their touch. The streets of Montreal turned into a mobster Hunger Games. Paolo Violi, Cotroni's golden boy, even tried to run things like a legit businessman, which is to say, badly. He was murdered in 1978, shot in the face, classy. That hit sealed the Rizzuto rise. The Sicilians took over, and the Calabrians got sent home with a doggy bag and a bullet or two. But it wasn't clean. Innocent people got caught in the crossfire. Public shootings, bombings. One poor bloke even got killed because someone mistook his last name for a rival's. You know the city's messed up when a trip to the deli might end in either a sandwich or a funeral. Imagine this. Cotroni's crew sitting in a smoky cafe. Cotroni, we can split the rackets like gentlemen. Rizzuto, calmly stirring espresso. I don't split, I own. Cue slow motion gunfire, broken plates screaming in Italian. You get the idea. So what do we make of all this mobbed up madness? Moral clarity? Laughable. These guys made ethics disappear like a body in the St. Lawrence River. Purpose? Oh, they had it. Power, profit, and family pride. Classic mafia trifecta. Integrity? Depends how you define it. If loyalty to your crime family counts, sure. But society at large? Not a chance. Yet, they weren't just goons. They understood systems. They manipulated police, politics, and people with the finesse of a chess grandmaster, who also happens to stab his opponents when losing. What if law enforcement had been better equipped? What if Canada had cracked down sooner? Maybe the city could have avoided years of bloodshed. But also, maybe, just maybe, the mob would have gone underground into politics, finance, or tech. You know, started the first organised crime crypto exchange. Eventually, the government did try to step in, launching task forces, wiretaps, all that jazz. But by the time they were onto the mob's game, the Rizzutos had already rewritten the rules. They weren't just criminals, they were institutionalised, like mould in the walls, but with suits and Bentleys. It wasn't until the 2000s that major blows were dealt, and even then Vito Rizzuto made a comeback tour more dramatic than Elvis. The Montreal mob war wasn't just some gangster sideshow. It exposed just how thin the veil between civility and chaos really is. It revealed a Canada most people don't know, a place where loyalty is deadly, corruption is casual, and a simple cup of espresso could be your last. So next time someone tells you Canadians are too polite for organised crime, just whisper Rizzuto and watch them flinch. The mob war of the 70s didn't just shape the underworld, it shaped Montreal. And it showed us that organised crime doesn't need capes or catchphrases, just cold ambition and a well-timed hit. Stay curious, stay sharp, and stay just sober enough to remember it all. This was just a swig of history. And if it wasn't in your textbook, it bloody well should have been. And before you go, do a Bruva fave. Like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.